my name is Bo and welcome to this SUPboarder comparison review of two of the HYPR Hawaii guns. We've reviewed some HYPR gun boards before and spoke about their ability as an all-round hybrid board, meaning you can paddle them on flat water, catch some swells downwind, or even ride them in the surf. But this time, we are focusing on their ability in the surf, and I must admit, I got a little bit excited when I heard that these HYPR guns were coming back to SUPboarder again, because this time, I really wanted to test their ability in some serious surf size. Did we score? Here's a sneak peek. If you're new here to SUPboarder Reviews, welcome, and hello again if you have watched this before. It's nice to have you back. We will be reviewing the two boards from HYPR Hawaii, which are the 9.6 gun in the Santos Rosewood construction and the 10.6 gun in Applewood. Guns are described as big wave riding boards, but these also work in that flat water and downwind disciplines too. First off, we'll go through the specifications of the board and the constructions. We'll then take a look at the design features on these boards and let you know about the brand as well. Then we'll jump into our full thoughts and impressions on the boards and how they felt on the water before wrapping up the video with our cons and the value for money and who these boards are going to suit. Starting with the specifications, first up, the gun in the 9 feet 6 inches length, 29 inches wide, and comes in at 4¼ inches thick. The total volume of the 9.6 gun is 122 litres and it weighs in at 10.3 kilograms. The board comes with FCS2 side fins and a center US fin box and retails at £1,799 for this particular construction. Secondly, we have the gun in the 10.6 length, so 10 feet 6 inches long, 27 15/16 inches wide, 4¼ inches thick with a total volume of 135 litres. This board weighs in at 10.6 kilograms. Comes with the same FCS2 side fins and that center US fin box and retails for $1,599 in that Applewood construction. Diving into the constructions, and these boards all come in a variety of different finishes. All boards are hand finished with the wood veneer, which gives you a semi-custom feel as each wood layup is different. There's the base EPS core with a wood stringer which is reinforced with glass, then multiple layers of glass and the wood veneer is vacuum bagged. You also have the nose and tail blocks as well. The wood veneer boards also have an extra patch of the glass on the standing area to give you added strength, and some have carbon rails too. So lots of layers and lots of strength added to this board, which does make it heavy but very hard wearing. The first thing you will notice about these HYPR Hawaii boards is that patented hull design on the bottom. It consists of a 10mm deep double concave that runs the length of the board with chined or beveled rails that slope upward toward the rail. This design promotes lift and feels like you're paddling a narrower board when you get up on planing speed. I'll touch on the feel shortly. To let you know about the brand HYPR, they started in 2003 in Hawaii, so they have been around for quite a while. The name HYPR, HYPR, comes from the mix of Hawaii and performance, and these boards are available worldwide and do have bases in Hawaii and also in the UK. Looking at the fittings on the boards, and they have the same fittings for both of them. Up at the nose on the deck, we have an FCS insert for a camera mount or accessory. Moving back, and we see the lined EVA deck pad with a tail pad at the tail. Now the tail pad is flat with a diamond groove grip and has a nice kicker too to rest your foot up against when surfing. There is the Gore-Tex air vent and also a carry handle in the middle, which does feel balanced. At the tail we have a bungee system to carry gear, and behind that deck pad is a double leash plug system at the tail too. Flipping the board over, the side fins are a 5-inch honeycomb construction, and also we have a center fin which is a honeycomb construction as well, around that 9 inches in length. You also get a yellow branded HYPR leash with these boards, which is quite thick to deal with those bigger waves. And the red HYPR board bag is really nice and zips open to really fully fit your board in. You also get a fin key with this purchase. So both boards very similar with their fittings. Let's move into the good stuff, our thoughts and impressions on the waves. Now, if you did watch our brand introduction video on HYPR last year, you would have noticed that our biggest concern was the weight of the boards. They do weigh significantly more than other performance boards on the market, but given the construction, the materials used, the layup, it is expected. But I was really keen to get these boards back on the water despite their weight, and as a heavier board, it does feel nicer to ride bigger waves on that. You really get that locked in feeling on a heavier board. There's less bouncing of the board on the wave face, and it handles the wind a lot better too, which you will notice in these videos. Looking at the outline shape of the boards, the 9.6 gun has a wider outline than the 10.6, making the board feel a little more forgiving to ride. Now, what I mean by forgiving is that you have a wider platform to stand on, so small adjustments aren't going to affect where the board is going, but you do need to be intentional with your feet placement to turn the board. The 10.6 has that narrow outline with a really refined pintail, so there's not too much board either side of your back foot when stepping back. On a personal note, I did prefer the 10.6, just riding that, as the movements were just a bit more sensitive and the board felt like it wanted to turn near when I wanted it to, rather than having a short delay, which I found in the 9.6. This could be down to that weight as well though, but like I said, the 10.6 just felt that little bit more refined. By having a more refined board, it does equal less stability when paddling, especially in these windy conditions. I fell off quite a lot riding the 10.6 gun with the wind and chop on this particular day, but I also did use the 10.6 on a smaller day to get some onboard camera angles and found that I never actually fell off once, so it really does depend on the conditions you'll be riding in. Referring back to that bottom shape of the board, HYPR do say it feels like riding a narrower board, but when you get up to planing speed, it does feel more stable. So I definitely take this into consideration when looking at these boards and find a width that would really suit your style of riding and the conditions that you would take it out in. The 9 feet 6 inches long, I just felt with that wider outline felt more stable in the water compared to the 10.6. Now with that construction and weight, it just feels nice to paddle actually. The heavier board, it sits down lower in the water, which can aid in stability to some degree, but mostly it makes paddling for waves a dream as you get so much glide from these longer boards. It holds into the wave as well when trimming down the line and generates speed quite quickly. Because these boards are longer and heavier though, you really need to get right back to the tails to turn them. If your footwork isn't spot on for the 10.6, expect to have some wobbles as you shuffle back to turn. The 9.6, as I mentioned before, had that forgiving and stable outline thanks to the width. Along with this, you really need to allow time for the board to turn. You can't really react quickly to the board turning at all because it has a lot of length and also weight. So if there's a section creeping up on you or maybe someone's in front of you in the way, the board is going to have some delay from the time you step back and lean on the rail to the time it actually turns. In addition to this, you have to be forceful and powerful with your feet to get the board moving on the wave. Beginners, you may find this hard to do initially, and it does take time to learn how to apply power to your surfing, and it is needed to turn such a long board as this. But this could be true for any board over 9 feet in length. In fact, we rarely review surf SUPs over 10 feet, so the 10 feet 6 inch gun did a great job of surfing and maneuvering in the small waves. These boards are also a great crossover board for flat water paddling and downwinding too, and this is shown through the shape of the board, the performance, and also that bungee system for carrying gear. It's great that you can have such a versatile board to use no matter the conditions or swell forecast. Dropping into the negatives of this review, now rather than have any major gripes with these boards, there were just some niggling problems to highlight. Firstly, we weren't reviewing brand new boards, but the deck pad had started to peel on the edges. It was also lifting up around the handle in our previous video, but these boards seem to be improved with that. Sticking with the deck pad, it does feel slightly slippery with that lined deck pad. HYPR have gone for that different look and design, and with so many surf SUPs opting for that diamond groove pattern, you'd expect maybe a little bit more grip from the board. Even so, the diamond grooves can be slippery, but I feel if your foot isn't firmly placed on the HYPR pad and the wave knocks you a little, my feet did slip every now and then. Flipping the board over and having a look at the fins, when we would tighten the fin, there was some slight movement up and down of the fin. This can be common for quite a few boards, but it would be nice to just have that fin fit snugly into the fin box. I just added a thin bit of tape to stop the movement, which is an easy fix. I will mention the weight again, as it's tough to move the board around on the land and also lift it up onto the car. It does feel heavy carrying it too, and with the handle not being too deep or not having that wrap around for your fingers, it means your forearm is going to be burning after a while carrying it. And I'd also suggest removing those bungees if you are using this board in the surf. But these negatives are a small blip in what is such an aesthetically pleasing and well-performing board. The wood veneer is different with every board, so you're getting that unique custom design, and they do perform well and work in bigger waves. The ability to ride the guns in flat water and open water is a bonus, and you know they are very well constructed. You're not going to be absolutely tearing it up at your local break, but cruising your way down the line in style on these boards. I will add that their customer service is top notch too, with boards in the UK being hand delivered by the team. They make sure that you're buying the right board and offer testing centers where you can try it before you buy, which is a really nice touch. They also support local conservation initiatives, which is a great step in the right direction for their environmental credibility. All of this leads into the value for money, and you certainly will get that value for money for your purchase of a HYPR gun. The customer service, having a board that performs in different water states, mean you're getting a few boards in one, which is a really nice plus. We see other boards retail for over £2,000 for just a single discipline. So it goes to show that if you're making a purchase on one of these HYPR guns, you'll have it in your quiver for quite a long time. Now, to be real, these boards aren't going to suit everyone. If you're the heavier rider over 100 kilograms, I suggest looking at the longer gun models or another board in the HYPR range. If you weigh under 60 kilograms and plan to use these boards in the surf, then maybe consider a smaller board, as it's going to be hard to turn the board without a lot of power behind you. But if you sit within that weight range of 65 to 95 kilograms, then these boards might suit you. If you're after something a little bit different to what's on the market, or prefer the feeling of a heavier board when sup surfing or paddling, or even want to just turn heads at the beach. The 9.6 has that bit more outlined shape and width, so beginner to intermediate sup surfers will notice the forgiveness and ease of balance and use when riding this board. Remember, your footwork needs to be on it, so it does take a lot of practice and that might be needed, but if you have some experience in the waves, it is a good choice. A rider who is between 70 and 85 kilograms with limited experience on the waves would be best suited to this board. The 10.6 is a little more refined and requires some experience already if heading out into the waves. The sensitivity and turning ability is noticeable compared to other boards of its size, and it surfs really smooth thanks to the weight. A recommendation would be for riders with prior wave experience who weigh between the 80 and 90 kilogram mark. Before we go, we've heard some really great customer feedback about the HYPR Hawaii brand, and there are a lot of you out there who stand behind their products and also the brand. The stories and comments that you have shared and will share below this video really do help others to get a full overview of using these boards well into the future after purchase. So please do feel free to leave your thoughts and insights in a comment below. We want to thank you for tuning in to this SUPboarder review of the HYPR Hawaii guns 9 feet 6 inches and the 10 foot 6 inch size, and we look forward to seeing you on another SUPboarder video really soon. Take care.